has always been, from the beginning, during slavery, to Martin Luther King days, church. You want to know what's going on politically? Come to church. You want to know who to vote for? Come to church. You want to know where we're marching to? Come to church.
I'm proud of the fact that you young people are doing this, that you're willing to have oral history to share for future generations, and I think that's very important.
Thelma Anderson Gibson speaks to the importance of preserving the legacy of the West Grove. Elder members of the historic black churches, like Mrs. Gibson, residing in the West Grove, serve as a link between past and future generations. The West Grove is one of Miami's founding neighborhoods. Located in Miami, Coral Gables, between the University of Miami campus and the entertainment and shopping area of Coconut Grove. Historically, an Afro-Caribbean American community, residents of the West Grove include descendants of Bahamian settlers from the mid-1800s.
Bahamians, when they left the Bahamas to settle here, this is where they came, in the Coconut Grove area. That's where we get that, the Goombay, because, and they have a lot of, it's a Goombay festival. The origination started under that concept where Bahamians and people from the islands came here to the Grove to settle, and they settled here, and this is where they got the term, the Goombay Festival.
Well, I know they have demolished just about everything on Grand Avenue. You know, that used to be like, well, it's still the main street, but we had so many little shops there. You know, you could walk and stop and get something. Now they've just knocked out. It's just vast space. It's just open. And then they restructured Grand Avenue. They got this island in the middle, and to me, it took away the beauty, because we had the old-fashioned street there with our sidewalk. But that was customary, because when we had, once a year when the Goombay came to Coconut Grove, we had Grand Avenue with our little boots on the sidewalk, the side of the street. But now with this island down the middle of the street and so many buildings knocked down, it just took away the beauty. And so it's been a change, but I don't know how good the change is, because I see too many vacancies, too many cleared off land. You know, it's just, it doesn't have the beauty, because as a child growing up, you had the painted houses, usually green and white, and had the little picket fences. People took care of their yards. You could hardly find a piece of grass now. I won't talk about the fence. And they're cutting down the trees. Had a lot of fruit trees in the grove, especially coconut trees, because that's why it was named Coconut Grove. And all of that is gone now, and it's not like it used to be. Sad to say, but it's not.
As residents of this flourishing black community during times of segregation and the Civil Rights Movement, Pastor Washington from Greater Faith Temple, parishioner Thelma Gibson from Christ Episcopal, and other parishioners from Greater St. Paul AME Church, Beulah Missionary Baptist Church, and St. Matthew's Community Baptist Church all recall memories of a once close-knit and family-oriented West Grove.
It was a little place, and wasn't much to do here.
And we didn't even have telephones in our household. Did have a radio, but the main thing was the activities at the church and at school that we attended.
It used to be what they call baseball. We call speakball with they would take a broom handle and break it open. We would play in the street playing ball. That's what we would do.
My brothers and sisters and I, along with most of the neighborhood children, we enjoyed climbing trees. I played marbles, shot marbles with the boys, which was a pastime. We jumped hopscotch. We'd sit on the front porch and back here on our dolls. The dolls were made out of bottles that we put rope in and then played like you had a lot of hair in it. You sit there and plait the doll's hair, play jack stone, jump hopscotch, and do most of the things the children did. We were in a little community where there was no electricity. There were no lights out on the outside, and no running water, so we used to have to pump water. We had to go outside to the bathroom, and we used lamps for studying. We didn't have electricity. And in our household, we always had a round table in the kitchen, and when we came home from school, we always had to sit around that round table and study and get our lesson. And then we went out to play. First of all, you had to change from your school clothes to your play clothes. And then you got your lesson, then you went outside to play. And so ours was a rather routine that we always had as to what we were doing and knew what you had to do, but we all got along in the neighborhood.
We had fun. It wasn't as many homes there, so we had little alleys. We used to go through the woods. We used to beat out a path, and we would run through the alleys and climb trees, and we would make some of our toys, Coca-Cola bottle toys, and put the hairpin in the top with the little straw and do the hair, and a lot of things we played with. I don't see today, like springboard and the seesaw. All these we made ourselves because for Christmas we usually got a pair of Union 5 skates and a bicycle. That's all you got, and that wasn't for each child, that was for all of us. So as it wear down, we'll break up the skate and make a scooter. And then we took turns riding the bicycle.
When I came in '59, the Grove was flourishing. There was a lot of businesses going on. I can remember there was a dry goods store, the drug store. There was a bar on each corner. There was a lot of churches. There were a fish market and supermarkets and all of that kind of stuff. All of that has changed. None of that is here anymore.
We would go to the movies on Saturdays, to the fish market on Fridays, and to Mary, you remember Margaret Ann, who used to be way up Grand Avenue, up there where Cocoa Walk is now. And post office used to be up around that area, and we used to walk there and back.
You know, it was quiet. You didn't have on Saturday and well, possibly on Sunday you had nothing else to do to go to church because nothing was open on Sundays. Not even a grocery store or shopping. Nope, nothing was open. So people had to get all that they had to get on Saturday because nothing was open on Sunday. Till, you know, years go on, they start opening up. That's when it started. But the only place we had was church and go to school.
It was a thriving community. Being poor was one of those things you didn't know that you were poor. But it was the kind of community in which people lived together as a unit. It was so nice. People loved each other. We had a wealth of respect for each other. Crime was not a problem around here. You had a few people who were nuisances, boys primarily who were nuisances, but people were not vicious as they are today.
There were no roads like there is now. And he used to always tell me and the kids how he used to run through the Palmettos and how if he played hooky from school, how his aunt reared him. His aunt would get him because everybody knew everybody. And it was like if you did something wrong, the neighbor next door would get you and then tell your mom that she got you, then you get it again, you know. So it was quite different than it is now.
Every family was interested in the next family. You were well respected. You were thought highly of in the community if you did the right thing. But don't miss and do something that was uncalled for, unnecessary, because it got home to your parents before you got there, and you were punished severely for that. School was a place where you didn't act up or misbehave, because if you did, you were punished in school, but you got a second round when you got home.
Coconut Grove, I remember, as I said, I went to elementary school 1 year at Carver, and I finished high school at Carver. At that time, Carver was segregated. And it was, I can't remember how many was in my high school graduating class, but we were one of the ones that had the first yearbook. And we were like a family. Everybody knew each other. And neighbors, teachers, and preachers, they're the ones that watched over the kids. And if one kid got into trouble, the whole neighborhood got involved. And there were people that watched the kids. You know, some parents went to work, they weren't home all day. The people that were at home, they were maybe older, and they watched those kids. And they saw that nothing was going on that shouldn't have been going on.
The things that I see young people do and things that they say I didn't do. My parents wouldn't tolerate that kind of stuff. I went to school. I enjoyed going to school. It was school. I went to school. Most of the time we didn't have any books. When we got books, they were old books. But I went to school. We didn't have telephones, but I did something wrong down the street, and one of the church members saw me. By the time I got home, my mother knew about it. We didn't have no telephone, but somebody knew. Go home, boy. Your name is Hill. You know your mama don't play that. Don't let me have to tell her. And I was more afraid of her telling my mama.
You had respect for elderly people. You did things for them. And the little things that you did for them did not require dollars and cents. You did them out of the goodness of your heart. You remember that every person seemed to be in every other person's keeper. You had that brotherly love, and that's what I liked so much about our community.
Despite its long and rich history, the West Grove has fought to retain its identity in the face of social ills, such as rising poverty, as well as an altered community dynamic. Pastor Washington from Greater Faith Temple, parishioner Thelma Gibson from Christ Episcopal, and other parishioners from Greater St. Paul AME, Beulah Missionary Baptist, and St. Matthew's Community Baptist churches share their personal experiences and opinions of the problems their community faces today.
They used to say it takes a community to raise one child, and that's the way it was then, but it's not that way anymore, and I think that's what we've lost. This is why we have things going on. Kids are not disciplined the way that they should be, and I think that is something that we've lost, and that's why we're having so many problems now. We see it every day on the news.
What I see in our young people is very discouraging. The dope dealing has just overwhelmed our young people. Young as elementary school. And they're dying so young before they ever know what life is about. Because they think that the dollar, and that's really why they deal drugs. A lot of them don't start off on drugs. It's the money.
Children nowadays, I guess maybe they get too much. Or they got other activities, you know, so they don't worry about the church. And because, you know, some of them will come to Sunday school, and then some of them will say it's too boring and this, but you get your good foundation from there, you know. That's where I got mine. A lot of families have been, you know, interrupted by crime in their families, the young ones, you know, committing crimes. all of the families have been affected by drugs, you know. My family has been affected by it. I don't think any family that goes to church or any other family has not been affected. Some things by drugs, you know.
The people, they're just not there to put an input in there, you know. Most of them we have a problem with drugs. We have a problem with robbery, but it's probably not as high as it would be in some other areas because most of them we know, and they know us.
Right now, with the economy like it is, finances and parishioners with the job situation, and you know, they're trying to make ends meet. Some of our parishioners have moved away to different states, different cities, and it's the economy. I guess the economy affects everyone, and that's the sad part. The parishioners lose if they lose a job, they have no social income. So they either, if they think they're going to be in foreclosure, a lot of them sold their homes and went to Georgia, Alabama, you know, places like that, Carolina.
In light of current social issues troubling the West Grove, various measures have been taken by members of church organizations to target specific needs of the neighborhood.
Minister to persons in the street who may be unchurched, and we go out and we have our Bible study here. Then on Wednesday, the homeless, that they don't come on a Sunday, but they'll come on a Wednesday when we feed the homeless. But before they eat, they have their own little choir, they have their own Bible study, they have, you know, and they're very good. And they're growing significantly.
And we try to always have food coming in so that we can, you know, if the people need, if someone needs, we'll be able to supply them with some of the things that they need as far as food goes. We try to reach out to missions if someone, the older people, you know, need help in their homes to, you know, clean, cook, that type of thing. And, you know, when they're ill, to go to the hospitals to visit, or the nursing homes, that type of thing. Now of trying to get, and I'm not really exactly sure if it's one of those mobile units, so that we can have more classrooms for the Sunday school, and also to be able to reach out to feed the hungry and things like that. Everybody has to be on the same accord, you know, and we help each other that way. Sometimes we have little girls that get out of place, you know, and they think that they are an age that they're not. Then, being raised by a grandmother maybe, the grandmother doesn't mind if I pull that little girl aside and talk to her. And maybe she will listen to me when she won't listen to the grandmother, or maybe I can put her back on track, or some of the other people there. And this is how we kind of intervene to be sure that we keep things in the right order.
We were brought up in the church and believers in God. We believe that love is from the heart. So it makes no difference what color you are, we can love.
That's right.
Or you should love.
That's right. So we try to do things and you know, working in the community and trying to get people, try to talk them into choosing a different way of life, and let our life like be somewhat of a beacon light that they would want to do better. Educationally, you know, we can teach them spiritually. We also have to encourage them to do well educationally. And hopefully with the new government and stuff, it has been an inspiration for everybody to see or to know that they can achieve whatever they want to. They just have to be an aggressor
work in the community with HIV and AIDS and substance abusers. We work with the elderly. And we just got a grant from the Children's Trust to work with juvenile, try to cut down on the crime in the Grove and the juvenile activity. So that we're working in all the areas now in Coconut Grove with the Thelma Gibson Health Initiative.
Well, I think the churches need to get more involved with the children, the young adults, well, the children too, the smaller ones, because the earlier you can train them, the better they will become.
It needs desperately to focus on our youth, to try to find some kind of way to get into their mindset, to let them know that money is not everything. You can have a house full of money and not be happy. Money doesn't make people happy. I see some very poor people who's happy. I see some very rich people who's miserable. They got to find out what life is all about. Where the church is invaluable is to teach them these things, to try to reach them.
The historic black churches play a vital role in the development and further preservation of the rich traditions still visible today. This unique community has a great deal of knowledge to share with future generations, both inside and outside West Coconut Grove.